So I put a post up on our private Facebook group earlier on this week. We have a private Facebook group called Your Fresh Start Family, which you're very welcome to come and join. And I put a question up asking people for what they needed a little bit of guidance, a little bit of support with in their lives at the moment. So we got quite a few messages, and one of them was from a lady who was asking us about decision making.
Right.
And how to make the right decision. And how you go about doing that. So I thought that was quite an interesting topic, given that we've just made a huge monumental decision to leave Northern Ireland, leave Ireland and go and move to France.
Yeah, we have.
And I thought it would be quite interesting maybe just to have a chat about how we make decisions.
Right.
So, how do you make your decisions in your life?
Well, I just listen to you.
Good answer. Okay,
there you
that's it. Bye. See you. Okay, a bit more seriously then. After you've listened to me, how do you decide whether that's right for you or not?
How do I make decisions? It's interesting because when you actually ask me the question, I can imagine people kind of struggling in their mind with that decision or that decision, kind of looking at, will I or won't I? So I don't know if that was the actual point of the question. But if it was, maybe we can offer a little bit of advice, certainly, as to how we go about it. Whether that works for you or not is totally up to you. To be honest, I think it partly depends on the nature of the human being, what kind of person you are. For some people, the idea of doing what we're doing, which is basically moving from Northern Ireland and actually not knowing quite where we're going to land in France, and having a kind of a gap time, a transition time between being here and kind of landing somewhere finally. For some people that would be too much. For us, it's quite exciting. But the basis for the decision, I suppose, came from a number of different things, to be honest. It wasn't just one thing. It's quite easy to stay. I mean, we love where we live, so it would be quite easy to stay.
Mm-hmm.
There's
we have a great life.
We have a great life. We love where the house kind of is in the countryside and so on. There's lots and lots of great things about it. But it doesn't tick all the boxes, and I think a lot of people settle for second best when it comes to decision making. And usually for me anyway, the reason for me in the past has been, the reason I settle for second best is maybe on some level I don't believe that I deserve better. Maybe there's some element of fear in actually moving with that kind of inner guidance that says, it's not, you're not quite there, take another step, open another door, whatever it is for you. So I often check in and see, okay, what's the foundation for my decision? Rather than trying to work it out in my mind. And what I mean by foundation is, for me, is more the emotional kind of response to the decision,
Can you give us an example of that?
Yeah, that kind of gives me a little bit of clarity. So if I imagine myself taking the best case scenario, first of all, I've got to open my mind to that, because a lot of us are programmed into the negative what ifs. I love the positive what if. What if we land somewhere absolutely fantastic, which ticks every single box? How will that make me feel? And already I can feel the excitement talking about it, because I know it's possible.
Well, my heart's just started racing as you said that.
So I love those kind of positive what ifs. It's so easy to go into the negative what ifs, which people do. So to at least to get your mind around that kind of, maybe there's a very, very positive outcome possible. That's the beginning. And to feel into that. What does that feel like? What's the emotional kind of resonance for that? For me, that's really, really exciting, And so it's not so difficult to kind of leave where we are when I feel into, wow, the possibility exists, which is a great phrase. Good book, by the way.
Excellent book. Available on Amazon. Fantastic. 5-star reviews.
The possibility exists that we'll end up somewhere absolutely beautiful. And it will tick every box and just, will open us up into a whole kind of new way of being. And that's really partly what we're looking for all kinds of reasons. So the foundation, I think, for me, is very important. Is the foundation based on fear, which is, oh no, well, let's not go. Well, it's a big move, Jenny. I mean, and the currency is not great at the moment.
You don't speak French.
And I don't speak French, and you can see where we're going with this still. So that's a fear-based decision, let's stay. The opposite of that is kind of the excited decision, let's go. and then based on the possibility existing that we could find somewhere beautiful. Wow, that feels kind of very fulfilling for me, very exciting, and certainly very possible. So that's one of the ways that I kind of tune into decision making. What does it give me in here? More in the belly area, not so much in the head.
Tell me, or tell people who are watching about Osho's teaching around the head. And
Osho.
I think this is really good for decision making. This has transformed how I make decisions in my life. Completely transformed it.
Yeah, Osho, one of my favourite spiritual teachers. Check him out. Google him, just to feel into his presence. He's a wonderful teacher, but he's a little bit irreverent, which is great. He's lots of laughter, but he says, really, if you're going to kind of make a decision, sometimes it might be an idea to grab the nearest sword, and to cut off your head, and to put your head underneath your arm, and to kind of walk around the world kind of headless and make your decisions based on something deeper. Based on being headless. What would it feel like to just kind of come from that place? And every now and then he says, well, have a little consultation with your head, but don't listen to it so much. So maybe you might listen a bit more to your heart and a bit more to your gut, but not so much to this fella. So it's a striking image.
It is, and it really, I used to try and make decisions, especially if I had choices to make, I would try and figure them out in my head.
Right.
And oh my God, it really, I don't know about you, but I just ended up going round and round and round in circles. And because the thing that actually really struck me about the question that came through from this lady was about making the right decision.
Oh yeah. So how do you deal with that?
Well, I work on the basis that as long as I'm following this and this, my heart and my gut, that there is no wrong decision.
Uh-huh.
So whatever happens is all part of my journey. Even if there might be challenges along the way. Have I made right decisions at every point in my life? No, I haven't. But where does all the growth come from in life? The growth comes from being challenged and being pushed out of your comfort zone, and sometimes it's bloody uncomfortable, So could I look back on my 2 marriages and say I made the wrong decision? Yes, I could. I could say they were terrible failures, and it was awful, and it was such a waste of my time and such a waste of their time. But that's not how I choose to look at it. So they were the right decisions for me at that point in time. I learned masses about myself, about life, about love out of the whole experience. So is that a wrong decision? The same with jobs. You and I have both had several careers between us. And so can I look back on my careers and say, that was a wrong decision to go to train to be a primary school teacher. It was a wrong decision to be a TV producer because I didn't stick with it? No, of course not. I learned so much about it. So I think if we can let go of the mental construct which says that there's a right decision and a wrong decision, that immediately frees us up just to, so it's a choice. I have a choice. Do I stay in Northern Ireland? Do I move to France? Which one feels better?
Yeah.
France, yay! So that really helps me, I think, just getting away from that. Because otherwise, what I used to do was always check in with everybody else as well, because I was unsure of my own decision-making process. So I would have to phone all my friends, phone all my family, talk to everybody about, what do you think I should do? What do you think I should do?
Right.
Whereas now I go into meditation, I actually go into myself, and I'll spend that time, I'll journal, I'll meditate, I'll ask for guidance as well, not from other people, but from whatever it is that you believe in, or whatever it is that I believe in, show me the way. Show me the right way forward. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that helps me is that lovely phrase from Eckhart Tolle, which was, I've forgotten the exact wording of it, is the universe will always give you exactly what you need for the evolution of your consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Life is always giving you.
Life is always giving you exactly what you need for the evolution of your consciousness. So if you look at it from that perspective, there is no wrong decision.
Yeah. And actual fact, in a strange way, and if you can really get this one, it's quite powerful. In a strange way, if you feel a little bit edgy about the decision that you're making, if it feels a little ooh like that, which we do a little bit about France sometimes, sometimes that means you're on the right track.
Totally, yeah.
It's like I'm feeling into my edges, and it's very easy to come back in and say, okay, let's not move, and we can find all kinds of rational, logical decisions for staying. But when you feel into the edge and you feel that kind of little bit of shakiness, that's your ego structure, you know, beginning to kind of waver a little bit. And if you want to kind of grow beyond those kind of fear-based structures and move beyond your edges, then you go with those impulses, even though it's a little bit edgy. And that's almost like a sign that you're on the right path. And I begin to, I suppose, more and more welcome those feelings. Okay, something's happening here. I'm being called to grow a little bit more in some way. Well, let's go with that, because as Jenny said earlier, you know, the idea for both of us, I think, is that, you know, evolution is calling us to grow. Evolution doesn't say, stay small, you know, stay in your comfort zone. It doesn't say that. It says, grow, 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 to every flower, every plant, and every human being. And when we grow, we're stretching, you know. And for me, I love that feeling of stretching. Sometimes, and other times, it's a little bit, oh, kind of, do I really love this? And then I kind of realise, yeah, I do, because it brings me to beautiful places.
Yeah.
Like France.
Yeah. And so, well, I hope that helps. I mean, with the previous video that we made was all about, you know, that lovely phrase, if it was the last year of your life, what would you do? And that, for me, is that brings me right into the immediacy of here and now. If it was the last year of my life, would I stay in that crappy job, which I'm moaning about? No, I'd go. If it was the last year of my life, would I stay in that marriage that I've been moaning about for the last 25 years? No. You know, so that's a really direct question that you can work on as well.
Yeah.
And
if for anything, you know, if it was the last year of my life, would I continue to hold that grudge? No. You know.
Yeah.
Things change when you make them more immediate, when you realise our time on the planet is limited. And you have no idea how long it is. You know, so why not live, as people say, live to the fullest? But I'm not sure people really know what that means. You know, it really means to make everything immediate. This is it, right here, right now. You know, and get the excitement going.
Yeah, and I know that you do a lot of teaching in your holistic intelligence, your HQ course, about fear and excitement. And I think we'll save that. We'll save that because that came up as another question from someone else.
Right.
This idea of, you know, am I terrified or am I excited?
Okay.
So at the moment I'm excited, but sometimes I tip into, you know, the two are quite similar. And then there's the whole, I suppose if you're talking about decision-making processes and making the right decision, if you're questioning yourself and saying, how do I make the right decision? That implies to me a little bit of lack of trust.
Right.
A lack of trust maybe in yourself, in your own decision-making processes, in your ability to know what's right for you. But it also implies a little bit of lack of trust in whatever you want to call it. I call it the universe. And this benign force that is there to support us, this universe that's there to support us. But that's for another video, I think. So we'll save that one for next week.
I think we should save that, yeah. But one last thing, that very word, you know, right, the right decision. You know, that implies that there's some construct out there, probably, you know, a world construct around these are the right decisions and these are the wrong decisions. It's like, you know, we're trying to fit into some idea of what's right. Only you can know what's right for you. You know, and I really believe that. For every human being, you know, there is a journey, there is a path. And, you know, to learn to trust it means you listen more to hear, and a bit less to hear. Yay!
Hope that helps, and if we can be of any support, you can email us or come along and join your Fresh Start family, and you'll get lots of lovely resources from us and lots of free coaching and inspiration from us there.
Yeah.
And subscribe to the YouTube channel, and that'll keep you up to date when we release our next video. See you soon.
Great. Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye.